Welcome, everybody. My name is Mina Jane. I'm the director of the Ashland Public Library, and I am here with Jody, also known as Red Reviews, to talk about horror recommendations. And we've been doing this for over a year and just always have a blast. And sometimes I am amazed at what a rock hard heart you have, Jody.
I'm glad you said I have a heart.
You do. I mean, you can read anything. Before we get started, I just want to say a quick thanks to the Friends of the Ashland Public Library for supporting all of our programs, as well as to Jody, who let us share this program with other libraries. And, libraries working together, we just make magic. So you can use the chat to let us know, what you're reading, or if you have any comments on what Jody recommends. And certainly, if you have any questions, you can put them in the chat or the Q&A, and I'll be paying attention to that. So Jody, what do you have for us today?
Well, so before I start going into some serious recommendations, I want to point out a series that I have slowly been plowing through. I think I've read three of the books in the series. So the series is called the VHS series. It's from Shortwave Publishing. They're an independent horror publisher, and they've been putting out these little books. They're not very big. Most of them are like 150 pages long. They're being called adult Goosebumps books, which is like if you were a Goosebumps reader, back in the day, those are actually pretty horrifying for the age range. So this imagine that like triple timed for adults,
Okay.
which is really awesome, and you can get them if they're like one sitting delights. So I've read the Candy Cane Kills books, which I've talked about here before. And I read Teleport. I'm not sure if I talked about that one. But the first book in the series is Melonhead. I just need to show you Melonhead Mayhem. Look at the cover. That evil looking alien thing, right? I remember this movie back in the day called Critters. Do you remember that?
I do.
It was a horror movie. It scared the pants off me. I had nightmares about it. My dog sort of looked like it was horrible. I think I was like 10. So this reminds me of that. And then the second one is Candy Cane Kills. The third is Teleportasm, which I'm pretty sure I read. And the Cicada, I have not read this one yet, but I did meet the author, and she was pretty cool. And then the fifth is Candy Cane Kills Again. And then the newest book, which comes out next month, that I just read is Night of the Witch Hunter. Look at that, like creepy. So this is like this is actually one I'm gonna actually talk about. It's a present day story about these girls, and one of the girls has like blood lineage to a witch from the 1600s, and she talks about her, and she decides to do like a calling circle with her friend to see if she can reach out and talk to the witch from the 1600s. And instead they end up pulling the witch hunter that hunted this particular witch into their circle, into present day. So you have a 1600s witch hunter who ends up being like not well. I mean, the witch hunters in the day were evil, but this one like is straight up evil, and he's got evil powers, and I'm pretty sure he worships the devil, which makes him a hypocrite. Yeah, so he gets pulled into present day, and it becomes this whole he's chasing the modern day witches thing, and taking the people and rallying everybody against. All in 167 pages, this is happening, and it's like from start to finish. It's all there's heads getting chopped off, limbs going. It's bloodshed and chanting, and it was really great, and I really enjoyed it. There's a little tiny like spark of a romance going on in there, but you don't really care about it because you're in it for the carnage. It's a great all of these books in this series. They're all really great reads, and like I said, they're like 150 to 160 pages, which for me is an hour.
Mhm.
Maybe I'm a little abnormal, but I used to be able to read the R.L. Stein Fear Street books. That's an hour for me.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
an hour for me.
Can I just ask you a question about that? You said that it's an independent horror publisher in Massachusetts?
I think they're in Massachusetts. It's shortwave. Sure, I don't. It doesn't say if they're in
I'll
Massachusetts.
have to look that up. But is that something like they imprinted and they have particular authors, or is it like the same author that writes all of them?
No, it's different author for each one of these stories. They have printed books by Clay McLeod Chapman. They've
Mhm.
done Nat Cassidy. So they just take it's a way for other authors to branch outside of their regular big publisher. to this indie publisher, and I feel like he's doing them justice with this company. Like
Mhm.
he really is focusing strictly on the horror and making it, it's not so commercial,
Mhm.
which
Yeah.
I appreciate.
Yeah. It also sounds really accessible in terms of like a short read that, somebody who maybe hasn't read horror can try it out.
Right. Well, when you look into Stephen King books, those are like 300 pages. They're a little intimidating. Most real horror books are 200 to 300. If you're Chuck Wendig, they're 500. You're getting an awesome book in that amount of time, but it for a normal person, that's like a month of reading. If you're
Mhm.
me, it's 3 days because you don't get up for bathroom breaks, you don't parent, you don't cook. I can do 3 days nonstop binging a giant book. But if you just want like a palate cleanser in between your 500-page books, these are nice because they're super quick. There's action all the way through. There's no like real character development, I guess, which I guess is kind of important, but it's kind of not if you're only looking for a palate cleanser.
Right. But it seems like there's more meat to it than like a novella. Novellas annoy me because I love novellas because they're short, whatever, but they're very short and they don't
Yeah.
always have even a really good plot. They just have sort of like, hey, you really love these characters in this larger book. Let me write a little bit about them here.
Yeah. I
So,
agree with you. Novellas can tick me off, as can short story compilations. Sometimes the stories like are 4 pages and I'm like, I need more.
yeah.
These are, you're getting what you want in quick pages, and there's a beginning, middle, and an end. There's a plot. Like I said, no super do. I mean, that these girls, you can tell what they look like, you can tell where they come from. So there's some character development, but you don't know their shoe size.
That's all right. Can I ask about how much they cost?
Oh,
Oh, you
I
get,
get them for both free.
okay.
But I don't. They can't be any more than like $15 a piece, or they have to be less than that.
Yeah.
I'm not seeing a price here on them.
That's all right. I just wondered if they were like less than like a regular large paper, like a trade
Well,
paper.
they better not be $26. I'll write to him myself and say, "Listen, bud."
That's okay. Let's go on to your next book.
Okay. Yeah, get me stuck on a freaking tangent here. So my next book is going to be actually by another small publisher. This is called The Vile Thing We Created. If you can see, the people's faces are all kind of scratched out. There's a good reason for that. This is by Robert Otone.
Hmm.
Excuse me, and he's a local author. I've met a few times at some events. I think you might have met him once or twice. So this book, this is a lot. I went into it. It's about a couple who really doesn't want to have children, pretty much set and happy in their lives where they are. They have money because you have no money when you have kids, and it's pretty breezy life. They have great sex life. They can eat whatever they want, but they've lost so many friends to families. People are deciding to have children, and then you form a special group of friends, and the couple without children isn't going to get invited to everything. So they decide to have a child to get their friends back. I'm telling you, I don't think that's the best idea. If you pretty much know that you're not going to have kids, maybe don't have the kids, because the whole book is very much about them wondering if they made a mistake. And the pregnancy for the woman, oh my God, he did such a great job with the pregnancy. It was horrible, horrible pregnancy for her. Everything that could go wrong was going wrong. And then she's, why am I having this baby? Am I going to love this baby? And then the child's born, and it's like Rosemary's Baby, like The Omen. Like, this is Satan's baby, pretty much, that's born. And it's this evil little thing that can read their minds, and it's got all these little evil qualities, which makes the mom like, what did I create? I don't even want kids. Oh my God. So it goes from, the first half of the book is the pregnancy, and then you go into the baby being born, and then all the crazy messed up things with the baby. And then sprinkled through the whole thing is a bit of occult vibe. Something's going on. The grandmother has given them these things with like the star on it and telling them it's all good luck. And, that's kind of screwed up. It's not really good luck. And she's pretty much having the devil's child, and it becomes like this whole thing. But it was really well written.
Hmm.
I couldn't put it down. Literally, I literally couldn't put it down. I was just like, this is a dude writing it. guy, and he nailed pregnancy like so well. I know, right? Like he doesn't know a damn thing about pregnancy. He's never been pregnant. It amazes me when these male writers nail female perspective. He did a great job with the male perspective, obviously, but with her, like with the feels and the aches and pains, and then is she gonna have that? Are you when you have the child, are you gonna automatically love that child? Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't happen. And this one, she didn't really feel anything for it. But it's about the choices you make, and new parent anxieties. And I don't know, it was creepy. In the end, got really creepy and like dark. And it's got a lot of horror bursts, but it's not, the whole book isn't horror. There's just little bursts of horror.
Mhm.
I think even you could read this. Maybe you might have a hard time with the whole birthing moment. I had a hard time reading the birthing moment, but it was worth the read. It was very good. It was creepy as hell. That baby was creepy as hell. The
So,
vile thing we created.
for people that don't know, I'm a total weenie. I don't read horror because I get scared. But haven't met Robert, but he was he participated in our auction last year, our horror swag bag auction. He was the nicest person. He
Is
offered
yes.
up a lot of stuff. He was right on time with everything, and our emails are just hilarious. So I just love him.
I was lucky enough to spend a lot of time with him at the horror readers weekend that I went to,
Mhm.
and I like instantly latched on and decided he's my spirit animal, and I need him in my life. Like he's just like the coolest human. We have a lot in common. Very easy to talk to. Talks with his hands, which obviously I'm doing right now. I'm doing it as I say that. I just loved him. So, and I bought his book. I'm like, oh, I love him. His book's got to be great, which isn't always the case. But for as nice of a person as he is and as sweet, his book is freaking dark. Like, it blows my mind when these horror writers are the nicest people in the world. And you want to hug them and take them home and like show them, come meet my mom kind of thing when they're writing these horrible things.
Well, because they get it out, like it's cathartic to them, they
Yes,
can
it's their
be happy
release.
humans because they get this out on the paper and then they scare the crap out of us. So they're happy.
Yeah, well, I mean, but is it a release for us? We're
It's
taking in
supposed to
what they're
be.
putting out.
No, but it's supposed to be. It's supposed to
It
be like
is.
that's why we read horror, or people read horror is to be in a safe place to experience terrible feelings.
Yes. Yes.
Right? Is that about, yeah.
I
Okay.
think that's pretty accurate. Yeah. I like to see
Okay.
bad shit happening to other people. Oh, I swore.
We are recording this. It is forever. All right, Jody, let's move on.
All right. Next one is Nowhere by Allison Gunn. So I have been going down a rabbit hole on Google watching these videos about, and I'm going to say it wrong, Appalachian,
Mhm.
Appalachian Mountains.
I've heard it both ways.
Okay, so whatever way you say it, those mountains, they're mountains. So there's a lot of like creepy stuff happening in those mountains. You don't necessarily know if it's people that are living in the mountains making these things happen when people are going for walks, if there's spirits in the mountains. If you Google this stuff, you will scare the crap out of yourself. It's like Blair Witch all over again. And 4 hours of watching this. So I'm kind of obsessed with it. Wow, this book came out at the best time because this book is about the Appalachian Mountains and the spirits in them. It's not, I was hoping for something like earthy, witchy, like evil, I'm going to steal your children kind of thing. Well, they're stealing children in this, but they're kind of possessing the children with old children, calling the children into the woods and like sucking their souls out. And it's so great. It really don't make that face, Mina. You can't make that face unless you read this. It's so great. The whole
I
town is kind of like caught up in this, well, you don't mess with the woods kind of thing. If you lived here long enough, you don't mess with it. But the newcomers didn't know that. And the children start to go missing. And it's possession. It's creepy. Ugh. There's like that scene from the Blair Witch, where he's standing in the corner, not moving and like just staring off into space. There's a similar scene in this book where this young girl is standing in the woods staring at nothing. And I got shivers and I was like, oh God, this is so creepy. And the book just keeps getting creepier and it's really actually pretty gory, which I didn't expect at all. And I think it was marketed as horror to me. I just didn't expect it to be as dark as it was. But again, Appalachian, you don't mess with that mountain, backwoods, old school, that's old, deep roots, magic, scary ass stuff. I'm doing it again. I'm getting excited. This is what happens when I get excited. I really like this.
Awesome.
That's coming out next month.
Okay. Well, I was going to say, is there a theme here where, because most horror is a place where nothing is off the table, right? Like now you've had two books now where children were involved. Like, you know, nobody ever kills a pet except in horror, you know? So
I'm okay with children going, not with pets being killed. What does
yeah,
that say about me?
I don't know. I don't know. I'll have to think about that. For anybody who knows Jody, please put it in the chat. But yeah, I mean, I
My
think
children, but leave my dog.
yeah. It's just really interesting that horror really like just doesn't nothing is off the table for what can be affected by that.
Well, I've read some books that were very controversial with children in horror, and bad things are done to babies, and I've had a hard time. I am human. I have a hard time reading that. But if there's a point to it being in the story, I will continue with it, and I'll be okay with it. If you're throwing it in there just for the gore factor, come on, you can do better than that, right? Let's not kill a baby just to kill a baby. Don't
Yeah,
kill a dog ever. There's never a good reason to kill a dog
or a cat.
or a cat. I mean, I don't
Okay.
really like cats.
You still don't want them killed.
I know I don't want them killed, but
They're so helpless. I
I
mean, like
don't
that's
trust
how you
them.
feel about children. But the thing is that for some reason, like you said, people who read horror can read about children being part of the horror scene, but we all have our limits of where we can and can't go with any genre. So I just find that very interesting about horror.
Well, we have hearts. Our soft spots are clearly these helpless little critters that can't say no, can't speak for themselves. Kill all the people you want in the world, but leave the animals alone.
Well, I mean, you could say that about children, but I'm not going to fight with you right now.
You can have mine. I've got a 19 and a 17-year-old. Those are teenagers.
Yeah.
But when
So,
they were little.
yeah. My kids are great. I love them. So I wouldn't want anything to happen to them. But I think just to go back really quickly to the topic of children is that in some ways I think it makes you appreciate children more. Like you're like horrified by it, like, and you might not think you would be, and you're just like, oh my God. So it makes it makes you appreciate.
I have read some books that have made me hug my kids a little bit tighter.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
see what you're saying.
Okay.
Yeah. That tends to happen more with true crime with me, where I definitely like hold my children or I'll make it a learning lesson. So I know what you're saying. I got you, Nina.
All right. Thank you.
So my next book, not thing, is just a thriller. And I think it's out. It's called The Perfect Home by Daniel Kennett. I'm saying it wrong. So this one is about this like perfect couple that are reality TV DIY people, and they're like home remodelers, and on the face on TV, everybody thinks they have a perfect life, but behind the scenes, they're struggling to get pregnant, and the book is really about how all the books coming out right now are infertility with women. That's like a huge, I don't want to call it a trope, but it's being overdone. This is infertility in men. So the gentleman in this book, I don't really want to call him that because he turns out not to be a gentleman. He's struggling with infertility. He's the reason they can't have a child. So he starts taking these pills that are not approved by the FDA. He gets them from like Sweden, and there are side effects that are not good. And they kind of take over, and bad things happen. And so the wife, and while these bad things are happening, they're still acting like everything's awesome on screen. So the whole world sees that. But then the one big thing happens, and then everything blows up, and they're exposed for being real people with real problems. And it becomes like a manhunt, and the whole world is watching type of thing. Really fast-paced moving. It's I don't know, it was really thrilling. It was actually really good. I didn't think I was going to like it as much as I did, because I don't do the whole reality TV thing. That's not my jam, and there's a lot of books that are tapping into that reality TV trope, but they did this really good.
It kind of reminds me, I didn't see the movie, but I've been hearing all about it. The Substance.
Oh my God, I want to see that so bad.
Yeah, but it reminds me of because they are taking something to enhance their health in some way because of either like societal pressure or something like that. And so they do something that is not great.
So to spin off of The Substance, which I have to see because I'm waiting for it to be free. There's a horror book by E.K. I can't remember her last name called Youth Juice.
Oh.
It's a pink cover. It's got a little beautiful Clinique size bottle of lotion with a little drippiness. That's about it came out before The Substance came out. I think it was written before The Substance came out. I feel like The Substance ripped off this book. The book was so damn well. If you've seen The Substance, anybody, if you've seen The Substance and you love that movie, read this book. Same idea, same
Okay.
exact idea, but probably done better because it's a book.
hmm Totally agree as a librarian and as a human. But I do have to say I'm glad that Demi Moore is getting some kudos
Finally,
finally.
and she
Yeah.
looks great. I mean, I think she's probably had some work done, but she doesn't look like super fake like some of them do. Like I think she can still her forehead moves. I don't think it's stiff.
I just think I there's just so much pressure in Hollywood to be young and skinny and all of that. And she's always been slim. But I mean just like I just am so glad because I grew up with the Rat Pack and I just think that they were all good actors and they're finally in all, like Robert Downey Jr. I mean they're just all getting some
He
kudos.
aged so well.
Yeah, yeah. So anyways, that's an aside that you guys don't necessarily need to hear. Jody and I can talk about it later. But yeah, I think that that sort of like social pressure to do certain things really makes great reading, great viewing.
Yeah, I agree. In the same thread, I'm really so glad that you like segued into this whole um, death in the downline. Huh? Wouldn't you look at that? It's lotion. Huh.
Oh.
So this book is about people selling miracle lotions and things like that. How funny is that? That I have another one. Um, it's about the lotions and the product, and but it's more about pyramid schemes.
Mm.
And the cult like mentality that the people that are involved in these when you're involved in it, you don't consider it a scheme. I guess it's an organization. So the people that are involved in these organizations, how they recruit and how they earn their money or don't earn their money, and a lot of these people go into debt on their own. Um, it's murder. There's murder in there, yeah, obviously, but it's more of exposing pyramid schemes.
Mhm.
And they're not taking the lotions and stuff are bad, not doing good things. You're not getting what you're paying for. It's all a facade. These people are beautiful influencers. Oh, I'm doing this lotion today. Oh, but it's not really working. Really well written. I really like this book a lot. Um, oh, it's by Maria Abrams.
And is it a thriller also?
I think it is considered a thriller. I don't think it's not. I mean, it's not really a mystery, so I think it has to be considered a thriller.
Hmm
It's. I mean, there's murder. There's a lot of murder. There's a lot of investigating what's happening. I don't know. I don't want to call it a cozy. It has a cozy-ish cover,
Yeah.
but it's not a cozy. It's
Mhm.
definitely more hardcore than that.
I find, you know, whenever you make recommendations, I really think they're interesting because they so often hit like what's happening in society right now. People are we were talking about the youth thing, but like even I like bought rosemary oil to thicken my hair. It's not going to do anything, I don't think, but everybody's talking about it. It was a TikTok sensation. So
I'm
like,
on the snail slime. I know. So I'm not any better. Snail slime's mentioned in this book, and I'm like, well, I use that.
oh my God.
Oh yeah, I got like 5 different varieties of this like goo that you like put in your and it's supposed to work. Honestly, it I don't see it's not doing anything for me yet. But I put it on some cuts and it healed some cuts, so it might do something. I don't know.
But the thing that we're all susceptible to it, like no matter how much we're like earthy, crunchy, happy with ourselves, there's always that little bit of. And I find that writers, authors of like especially thrillers, and horror. Just d dig right into that and get into our, insecurities and things and
Oh
make
yeah.
us wonder like what the heck are we doing?
I know. Who puts snail slime? I want to know how they extract that.
Christine wants to know, what? What are you talking about? Oh my
I
gosh.
got it at TJ Maxx. I didn't pay full price for it, damn it. I don't, it's not working
It
either.
was probably like in the aisle right before you check out, and you're just like, "Ooh, what's that?"
Ooh, it's in a black container. It must be good. It's fancy. Yeah, I don't
It's
think it's
half
working.
price, so it's a deal.
But I have I have family that have done the whole pyramid thing,
Mhm.
have joined and selling lotions that are like $100 a pop. And do they work? I haven't bought them because I can't afford that. So I don't, and I was a Pampered Chef person at one point.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh,
Remember those parties?
yeah,
Yeah.
the dill mix. Love that stuff.
Pizza Stone, best thing I ever earned. Like,
Oh man, you're so funny. All right, we have time for probably one more, maybe two if you are quick, and
I'm
I
going to
don't
give
bother
you, I
you.
don't have a copy of the book with me because I did listen to it on audio. It's called The Sirens by Amelia Hart. You're going to like this one. This one's for you. I always try to put a little bit something in here for you, Mina. So this one is
Okay.
by, she wrote Wayward, which was a witchy book, a very sweet, I don't, they're not thrillers, but they have a little bit of thrilling aspects to it. Um, so this book, The Sirens, is a new approach to a mermaid story. So it's not your beautiful glossy red hair seashell boob mermaid. This is more of the darker mermaids with that have teeth and are calling the men into the ocean so they can take them and give them the justice they deserve. And this is, there you go. Yeah,
That's it.
it's
Okay.
very, yep, very beachy. Um, so it jumps from historical. I think it takes place in Australia. It jumps from historical time to present time. The historical time is on a female convict boat. These women that were being shipped from Ireland, Scotland, that had been convicted of crimes, and
Mhm.
they're being sent to New Wales to be sold off, not put in prisons, they're getting sold off as a new wife and all this other stuff. Um, it's the relationships are made on the boat with the women, and the two main characters in that time period have like this skin disorder that if water touches them, they if water touches them, they get like itchy and their skin gets weird. Dude, there's scales. Like we all know that there's scales coming out. You can tell, but they're all like, oh, what's this? Oh, so you know, long story short, the boat freaking sinks. The women get to become their mermaidy selves in that time period. And then you're going to the present day time period where there's the bloodline has come to, the 1900s. It's lasted. How did it last? Because these women all died on the thing. Maybe not all of them did die. And then you have the women now that have the bloodline have that same skin disorder. And, this is like 2020. Who has these skin disorders and not know what they are? They've been tested for everything. They can't figure out what it is. Well, they kind of figure out what it is. And it becomes this whole like, I need to be in the water. Water's where I'm supposed to be. And they don't grow fins or anything like that. So don't go looking for, they're not going to be like a mermaid tail. It's a different kind of mermaid, but it's so cool. Like it's so awesome. Like they're getting like these gills. Oh my God. They get gills that pop out. Like I'm picturing like this fish faced thing with long hair, like from the Pirates of the Caribbean. Remember, was it those evil little freaking mermaid? I just love that. Anyway, so it's like sisterhood. It's there's a lot of there's romance in there. There's regrets in there. There's revenge in there. Um, justice, injustice. It's just a really great. It's a good story. I think
Mhm.
you will like it. It's not gory.
I was gonna say this does not sound like your normal read.
No, it's not. But I'm a sucker for anything. Like I don't do historical. We all know that I hate historical. But if you got witches in it and mermaids, apparently I will read it.
Okay. We're out of time, but I have to tell you the only book that I've read about mermaids was a romance, and the mermaid had to figure out how to have, with their a human. And I was like, oh my God, people are so
They have
creative.
a spot. I read a book like that too. They got a spot. You just got to find it.
Maybe they have like, the shape of, what was that? The shape of, no, the shape of water, right?
The
Where they had a,
Starbucks siren. Oh, I just
yeah.
whoops.
Anyways, so on that note,
Nothing is untouchable.
nothing, and especially mermaid, whatever it is, spots. So Jody, thank you as
You're
always.
welcome.
Really good recommendations. Everybody that's been here, thank you so much for your time. And I will send out a list of everything that Jody recommended and anything that came up in the chat as well. So, happy reading this month. It's a good month to read.
It's the month of love.
That's right. And if you want to be horrified, go with Jody's books. Or find one about mermaids that'll make your day. All right, guys, have a wonderful night. Bye, Jody.
Bye.